Social Security is a program that provides financial protection for Americans through benefits like retirement income, disability insurance, and survivor's benefits. But when can we draw it and how much can we draw? So here to fill us in on Social Security misconceptions, Colin Evans from Evans Financial Group. So thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about some misconceptions that folks have with Social Security.
Well, and we kind of narrowed it down to a couple because just over the years we've seen almost the same kind of repeat questions, and so it's like, you know what, this would be a great topic just because of how consistent we see that and can hopefully squash it just a little bit. You know, when Social Security was enacted by FDR in 1935, it was originally not supposed to be taxed at all. Unfortunately, Uncle Sam likes to tax every living Dickens out of us. So in 1983, Ronald Reagan signed the first act portion of it to where up to 50% of Social Security could be taxed. Then followed that up in 1993, Bill Clinton signed it as up to 85% of Social Security can be taxed. And from that, it kind of throws people a little bit of a curveball going, well, now, you know, there's 567 total ways that you can actually take Social Security and the options that you get, but it's also taxable, possibly. And it's funny when people say, wait, possibly, what do you mean? I said, well, we have to look at a couple things, but your take-home income is going to be the biggest piece that we have to look at when we look at the first part of it. And say, you know, it's a common thing is going, hey, is my Social Security going to be taxed? Maybe. This is what I get to say. This is a definite maybe for the answer, and it is. But it's going to base off of what is your take home. What are you still bringing home? Is this going to go on top of your income? And we'll look at it when we look at the income in total. Typically, though, when we're looking at retirees, we don't see a lot of taxation on the retirees, and that's really a goal that we see a lot of people at once. Like, hey, when I go into retirement time, I don't really want to, I want to potentially be in a lower tax bracket. And that's simply because they're not working and they're not drawing the paycheck and the income isn't as high. Because typically we're going to see houses are paid, cars are paid, and a lot of the bills are scaled down. So hopefully you're kind of living under the means still. However, there is that potential there. Another gigantic misconception is, well, I'm still working, and if I get Social Security, they're going to tax it. Yes and no. Again, we have to go back and we have to take a look at what is the total take-home going to be. And it's just something that's going to parlay into, how much is it going to be taxed? Again, it can be up to 85% of that. And the third biggest one that we see is out of that Social Security is, well, I've heard I have to pay them back in a whole lump sum. Unless you didn't pay or were avoiding, then no, you can actually, when you get Social Security, you can sign up just like a standard paycheck. You can have those taxes withheld if it's going to be an issue. And if you're unsure about it, and maybe it's your first year in it, you can actually sign up to where you can take care of those taxes on a quarterly basis, as opposed to having to worry in the back of your mind thinking that there might be a monthly stipend or a year end that's going to be an entire pile of money. I don't have it all at once.
How do I come up with this?
It is, and those are just some common things that we've seen across the board. Next week we're going to hammer out a couple different ones, but it's funny just of how these things come. But I think I relate it to if a lot of us played that game in high school, and it was, the teacher would tell the first student, here's the little secret, and you have to kind of get this all the way around, all the way around through class. But the last person ends up with, we're going camping this weekend for the school project, and she's like, no, we're building gingerbread houses. How did it turn into? And it totally ends up into a different answer, and it's wild though. We see it day in and day out because misconceptions are there just because of word of mouth and how it gets spread and just kind of throws people off. So we're hoping that gives a little bit of clarity on the taxation of Social Security.
Like I said, Colin, every time you come, I learn something new, and this is overwhelming. So I'm glad that we have a part 2 next week.
Yes, there's going to be a part 2 going a little bit deeper into the Social Security world.
All right, Colin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.